If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror, we'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Do you love movies? So do I. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies. Inviting you to listen to The Conversation, a film podcast where passion meets perspective and opinion. From the old school to the new, I invite a guest on to discuss the movies that thrill us, challenge us, break our hearts, or even blow our minds. There's always new episodes dropping wherever you get your podcasts. So join the conversation. We don't just watch movies. We love talking about them too. The Conversation with KB Loves Movies, a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Weirding Way Media.
Right, Mr. Walters?
You see that guy over there? Now, he's an actor. The guy on the phone? He's a prize fighter. Me? I'm a cab driver. I'm the only cab driver in this place.
Good evening and welcome to Night Mr. Walters, the Taxi Podcast. I'm HP, your co-host, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Father Malone. Father Malone, how are you this evening?
HP, your simplicity is engaging, and we'd be wonderful together.
We will solve the mystery of those words momentarily. We're talking Taxi Season 3, Episode 4, Elaine's Strange Triangle. This was written by David Lloyd. Ooh, spooky.
Oh, I like to think about Elaine's Triangle.
This is written by David Lloyd and directed by the man, James Burrows. Reminder, we're doing these shows in broadcast order, not in order of filming. So we begin in Mario's. We haven't been to Mario's in a while, where Latka, Elaine... It's nice to see Latka, by the way. Again, I don't know what was going on in Andy Kaufman's life. It's not until late season 3 and season 4 that he really figures more prominently, but he's very catch Ken in these episodes. Don't you agree?
I completely forget that he's a member of the cast, and then he shows back up, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right, Andy Kaufman.
He has some funny bits here that we'll get into. Latka, Elaine, Alex, Tony, and Jim are all sitting around their customary table.
HB, before we get there.
Yeah.
There's hypnotic B-roll we've never seen before of a New York thoroughfare at night. These vaguely blue, there might be a filter on the camera. The streetlights look blue, lining either side of the road. And then there's another row of them down the median. And then you have red and white lights from the traffic going back and forth. It's gorgeous.
It's like something out of Tron or something, right?
Yeah. You expect it to the transition to be a focus transition, like a blur out and then blur back in.
It's beautiful. I mean, we tend to forget that these cabbies are living their lives at night, always. They're the nighttime cabbies. So, of course, we're going to see a lot of gorgeous shots of New York at night. And this, you're right. That's a beautiful B-roll. So we're in Mario's. The cabbies are sitting around eating. They're eating.
They're all eating together.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's super strange.
Latka has the napkin tucked into his collar. Like, he's enjoying it. Alex is eating. It's weird because we're used to thinking of Mario's as the place where they catch beers and they hash out life's mysteries, right?
Well, we never see them eating. We certainly never see them eating communally because what they have on the table is a pizza. By the way, that pizza looked great.
That's the gluten thing speaking, though, I think.
Yeah, man. I want that pizza. I want any pizza. I have instructed those around me, my loved ones, my immediate loved ones, that if it comes down that I know I have a certain amount of time to live, like within a day or something like that. That day will be spent eating pizza and calzone and fucking Napoleons. You know that pastry?
Yeah.
So many Napoleons. I'm going to be so sick and I'm going to love every minute of it right to the end.
Like I said, usually they're grabbing a drink at Mario's, but this time they're eating, which is a weird tableau that we're seeing there. Elaine, however, is sitting with her head in her hand, looking down. She basically is behaving like a depressed child. You can't even see her face because her hair is covering her eyes. Basically, she looks like somebody who's just miserable,
Well, she's
which is
drunk.
odd.
We've seen her do this before. We've seen her this drunk and sort of sad before.
She's not really drunk though because she's eating. I mean,
Listen to
she's
me.
depressed.
She's eating. She thinks she's not drunk. You can get to that bar and have more than beers, my friend.
No, but what we find out is that she's bummed. I mean, something
Drunk.
is up. She whines something about appreciating everybody taking her because Alex asks her, Elaine, how is your meal? And she says, oh, it's fine. Look, guys, I'm sorry. I appreciate you taking me out. She apologizes and she says she just doesn't bounce back like she used to. And then Tony says, hey, no guy is worth getting upset over. So it's guy trouble again. You know, we've seen this before with Elaine. She has poor taste in men, apparently. Alex thinks this is weird advice for Alex to be dishing out.
Rebound
Alex,
fuck. You know, Elaine, rebound fuck will fucking cure your ailments. I've found that a rebound fuck cures all my ills. There isn't a man, woman, or child alive. I love a good rebound fuck.
That's what he says. Alex thinks that Elaine should go out with another guy right away. Like,
you don't have to like this guy. He can be a fucking dummy, Elaine. You're not there for conversation.
It's weird. I mean, you would figure he would because she's very very vulnerable. Maybe this is part of his scheme. Maybe he's picking up on the fact that she's vulnerable and figures, well, maybe this is my shot. Elaine complains that she doesn't know anybody else, which I think is kind of a crock of shit.
No, I remember the psychiatrist episode when she was going to have sex with Rieger. Remember, it was
yeah,
that close. I know Rieger remembers it. He should be right in. He should be plying his trade here.
Well, they Rieger and Elaine are really like the will they or won't they of Taxi that we'll see over the course of the whole series, where they're constantly circling each other. Sometimes they come off like good friends, but sometimes it's a little more than that. And sometimes he's pursuing her, sometimes she's pursuing him. It's an interesting dynamic.
Can I just say that the will they, won't they is as far as I want it to go? Like mostly when you have characters like Sam and Diane, it's will they or won't they get together? Won't they be a couple? I don't want these two to be a couple, but I do want them to have sex with each other.
Just then, sporty looking Bobby
With a
bounces
shirt open to his
noticed.
dick. It's old Wheeler.
It is. I wrote, he's got a brown flannel sport coat, white shirt unbuttoned I didn't say to his dick, I said to his navel. And I said a collar as wide as the Grand Canyon. He announces that he's got the part. Hey, he's got another part. Good for him.
Really old Wheeler back. Oh my God, he just wandered in from season 1.
We do, but they don't pursue this. He says they got the part. So Tony says, hey, drinks are on me. And he cajoles Elaine to go to walk to the bar and get the drinks. So we never hear about Bobby and his part. He sits down with Alex, and interestingly, like I said, just as he's about to ask Bobby about the part, they cut away mid-sentence to the bar, because this is really this episode has nothing to do with Bobby, as we'll find out. This is everything to do with Tony and Elaine and this what happens. They're at the bar, Tony and Elaine, and a man in a suit creeps over to Tony and Elaine. The man we'll find out is a man.
Kirk Bradshaw?
Yeah, the Kirk Bradshaw.
A man? We're talking about Kirk Bradshaw.
That is such a sitcom-y name, isn't it? Kirk Bradshaw. Do you know any Bradshaws? Have you ever met a Bradshaw or a Kirk for that matter?
Well, obviously, like there's Terry Bradshaw. He's
Yeah.
So that the name is in play. Have I met a Kirk? I don't think I've ever met a Kirk.
Kirk Cameron from
Uh,
Growing Pains. No, not too many
you know what?
Kirks.
He ruins that movie, the Kurt Russell Best of Times. He plays Kurt Russell's son in that movie.
He is?
Yeah.
Wow, I haven't seen that movie in forever. That movie is so depressing.
Yes.
It is all. I mean, it's funny because Kurt Russell is so great in it, but man, is it depressing because it's all about Robin Williams losing the football game, and he spends his whole life as a loser trying to make up for it. That's a good
And
one.
his father-in-law is played by Donald Moffat, who was in The Thing with Kurt Russell.
That's everything comes back to John Carpenter.
God damn right it does.
Everything. So Kirk comes over. This guy named Kirk comes over to Tony and Elaine. He asks if Tony and Elaine are together. And initially, Tony kind of brushes him off, but then, sensing a romantic possibility for Elaine, he clarifies, "Oh, we're just friends." So now we have Tony going into matchmaker mode because he sees this is the opportunity to get Elaine to fob her off on somebody and maybe make her feel better. Tony starts in presenting Elaine to Kirk as a romantic possibility. Tony asks Kirk about himself, and he says he's an investment analyst, which is a very 80s occupation. It's like something out of Wall Street, right? Anything investment.
Yuppie.
He's a yuppie. Exactly right. And Tony plays all of this up to Elaine. Hey, he's an investment analyst, Elaine. What do you know? Tony asks Kirk if he's married. And when he says no, Tony inveigles him to go over to the rest of the cabbies and he introduces them to everybody. Jim and the cabbies make a big show of sitting Kirk next to Elaine. And Bobby chimes in, giving Kirk the lowdown on Elaine. It turns out
So weird.
It's very weird. Turns out that Kirk is an art buff. And when he hears that Elaine is working at the gallery, Elaine and Kirk strike up a conversation, which is all encouraged by the cabbies. And he asks her to dinner, which delights everybody because it's like their main purpose now is to set Elaine up with some guy.
So
Elaine,
weird.
It's very weird. Elaine gives.
Can I just say that when it seems like, oh, the plan is working, Wheeler does this move where he I think he does it in Greece as well, where he wags his hand like, ooh, like this is so hot, like, oh, so hot. Which in my notes I wrote, it's the same thing as like biting your fist, like you bite it, like, oh, this is so hot.
That's the Lenny from Lenny and Squiggy he used to
Yeah.
do that, right? Yeah.
Anytime
he does
something
that.
sexy is afoot, you can wag your hand or bite it.
Yeah. Yeah, that thing. So Elaine gives Kirk her number and Kirk leaves. So we're off to the races. We cut to the garage where Elaine bops in. She's dancing. She's singing a song. She's so happy.
Okay, first of all, the transitional B-roll had the crazy Joe Jackson like bit that they play from some time to time, and it's always weird because it really replicates a Joe Jackson number, and I'm waiting for him to start singing, and then suddenly we're back in the fucking cab company.
Very upbeat. There was a soundtrack album. I think I might have mentioned this. It's called The Genie by Bob James, and it is all basically music from Taxi. I should try to find out which song that is. The cabbies all notice this improvement in Elaine's morale. She admits that Kirk is great, and so far everything's going awesome. They're really enjoying each other's company. Louis gives the cab assignments out, all except for Tony, who's on the payphone with his Jim. And at that point, this fellow Kirk Bradshaw walks into the garage.
If I may, before we get there, he gives out the cab assignments. He gives Reverend Jim Starship 314.
Yeah. Is that,
Okay,
you think that's supposed to be pie?
Is it? I thought it was.
Maybe. I do love when they let Louis be Louis. An episode with Louis doesn't have to feature him as sensitive Louis or conniving Louis. We're just seeing everyday Louis here, where he's giving out these assignments and he's making snide comments up to Jim or whoever. I love that. It's because it's just a day in the life of Louis. I was delighted.
Yeah. just throwing Louis in and letting De Palma be De Palma is all they ever need in an episode. Like what we're seeing in this episode and the previous episode we watched are sometimes they'll throw characters a stupid bit just to give them something to do. You can't give De Palma something stupid to do. He'll make something funny.
And the character is so flexible in that way. You just have to give him a few one-liners and let him go to town, and he will deliver. DeVito will always deliver, no matter how small the bit. Kirk, like I said, walks into the garage, and Louis starts pumping him for salacious details about Elaine. Tony comes over, talk to Kirk. Kirk wants to talk. He says there's something he wanted to talk to Elaine about since they met, but he can't find a way to do it. Tony sits him down to talk it out. Kirk admits that he really likes Elaine, but he likes someone else too, which he says is a real problem. Kirk even says that he never even meant to get involved with Elaine. He recounts to Tony when he approached them that night in Mario's and asked if they were together. Kirk says, are you ready for this, Father Malone?
What?
Elaine wasn't the one that he was after.
Oh my God.
Oh my, there goes the neighborhood.
HP, turn off the television before the children see this.
Some of this is just so dated and so bad because he says, well, Elaine's not the one that I was after. And he kind of gives, but he doesn't overplay it. I'll say this. The actor doesn't overplay it. He just kind of looks at Tony for a beat, and Tony, being the simpleton, is confused at first, but then all of a sudden the penny drops and he's like, oh, no, 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 no. Like, how could you ever consider me attractive as another man? Like, that's so foreign.
Let me just say about that shy and weirded out was not what I was expecting from Tony Banta. And it was kind of funny because we know in reality, it would have been a series of quick punches and Kirk Bradshaw going to the emergency room.
You're right. It is sort of refreshing that Tony doesn't respond with pure violence as we might expect him to, because he's been animalistic.
Or even like, whoa, hey, I ain't like that. You know, it could have been just as simple as that. The rest of the episode, Tony learns a lesson. They just skip over all of that shit and just go, I don't know how I feel about you liking me that way.
It's less about dealing with Kirk and more about Tony feeling really, really bad about Elaine and being confused about what all this means. And he knows that Elaine is so happy with Kirk and things are going well. And he doesn't want to spoil that because he's the one that fixed them up after all. But at the same time, he's uncomfortable. This really weighs heavily on him. We fade back into the garage. We've gone to commercial. We fade back in. Tony is still sitting at the table. He's got about 4 cups of coffee, empty cups of coffee in front of him. It's implied that he's been sitting there for a long time thinking about this and drinking cup of coffee after cup of coffee. He's got a very anxious look on his face. No one else in the garage.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Tony's basic uniform on the show includes his New York Yankees satin jacket.
Yep. With the big NY on the front.
Yeah. Pretty iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Did you own any sports paraphernalia clothing as a child?
No, nothing like that. I mean, my dad liked sports, but it wasn't something I'll say that I grew up watching. It was later in life that I got into like the Patriots and so forth. But no, I never had I certainly never liked the team enough to have a satin jacket with their logo. Did you?
I didn't have a satin jacket. I had a fabric jacket that was blue and red, and it was Red Sox. And but I also had a cap, but it was sort of old timey, but it's still blue and red. But my favorite thing in the world was my T-shirt that said "Red Sox Fever, catch it."
I remember that shirt. I remember that. That was their like catchphrase for a time. Red. Was it like a little like ribbon of a banner or something running through it?
It was, I believe, like a ball with a ribbon behind it. I'm sure you can look it up and find it, but that's my memory of it.
It's the kind of thing nowadays where I bet you if you went into Target to the children's section, there are just generic sports shirts, and you get them for kids without them being real fans. It's just not something that was ever a big deal to me. I much preferred, like, I had a Star Wars shirt with R2D2 and C3PO. It said Star Wars, a blue shirt. I had a Star Wars watch.
Don't try and paint me as a jock and you a nerd. I'll dope slap you. What are you talking about? I had a C3PO necklace in fucking preschool.
Was it his head on a necklace, or was it his whole body?
This is his whole body, a little jangly body.
Oh, so the joints were hinged so that he could
Yeah.
do. Oh, that's kind of cool.
Loved it.
That's cool. Tony's sitting at the table, dejected, not sure what to do. Louis walks in. Like I said, there's nobody else in the garage, but Louis walks in and harangues Tony to get out on the road. But Tony says he's not going. He's got a problem. By the way, I actually like this scene, Father Malone.
I love this scene. Them relating as Italians. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
It's just the two of them. It's like this little pocket play in the middle of all of this where they kind of play off of each other. He says he's got a problem. Louis makes a joke about, oh, I know, Banta. See, the gas pedal is on this side and the brake pedal is on that side. But he says Tony is desperate. He says, leave him alone. Louis asks why Tony isn't confiding in Rieger. That's what he normally would do. But Tony says they're always unloading on him, and it's not good for Alex. Louis offers himself as a confidant, but Tony refuses to spill the beans. Louis says, I know how you feel. He's got a problem of his own. Elementary psychology. We can see we know what Louis is doing, because he's going to like imply that I'll tell you my problem if you tell me yours.
It's very sitcom-y.
Very sitcom-y.
Very drawn out too. I don't understand why we're taking this long to do this stupid joke.
But I love the interplay between them. And to your point, he even appeals to Tony as a fellow Italian. He even says like, paisano. And then Tony says something back to him in Italian. I don't remember what it is, but it's funny because you can see Tony lightening up and feeling more comfortable with Louis because he's brought up like that they're Italian brothers,
By the way, mid conversation at one point, there is a biting of a knuckle.
Yeah. Just like we said earlier. Yeah.
Yes. I only noted it because I wrote down the wagging hand is just like biting your fucking knuckle or hand. And then they fucking do it later in the episode.
Yeah. Look, you're right. This is a long way for a kind of a silly joke, but I loved the journey to get there because DeVito's really funny. Tony plays up the simple aspect of this whole thing. It's really funny. Louis' idea is they're going to trade secrets. They're even going to write them down on papers and trade them so that they don't, there's no danger of somebody not disclosing their secret. Tony gives him the real secret that it says that Kirk made a pass at him, which delights Louis. And is that the point where Louis kind of does he bites the knuckle?
It's such a great fucking secret he's gotten out of him.
His plan has come to fruition. This is exactly what he hoped for.
And my favorite line in the episode right here.
Tony reads it and he's puzzled for a minute.
No, it's not even that. It's what Louis says after he knows he's tricked him, where he just screams, "You're my favorite, Banta."
What Louis has written to Tony is on his slip of paper, he's only written 2 words, ha ha. He hasn't even written a fake secret. He's just laughing at Tony because he knows that he got him. It takes Tony a minute to figure out what happened, but it's just enough time for Louis, of course, to retreat to his cage where he's got some kind of hermetic force field that no one can ever penetrate except Rieger.
Yeah, Rieger can get in there.
He can get in.
By the way, if this were an actual scenario where he was trying to beat on Louis, he would have scrambled through that little hole that he hands the assignments out through. Banta could get through there. If this scenario would end very, very badly for Louis De Palma if Banta was going for it.
Banta in this episode zigs a lot of the time when we think he's going to zag, because we implied that he might have responded to Kirk making a pass at him with violence, but he doesn't do that. So maybe this is a kinder, gentler Tony. I like it. I like this Tony.
I like it too. Well, the problem is when they don't include Tony in the main plot, we just get dumb Banta making stupid jokes. So we forget that he has a capacity to be a really good character when they write him that good.
Yeah. The episode wouldn't work as well not nearly as well if you had Bobby being the one who Kirk makes a proposition to, because the thing about it is Bobby is so street smart. He would have understood in ways that Tony doesn't, the politics of what's going on, and he would have been cool about it. Like, hey man, that's not my scene, but I'm really flattered. Like I could see him being like, hey, laughing it off. Whereas this sends Tony almost into an existential crisis about what he's going to do. It wouldn't work as well with anyone else. So it's really inspired what they do with Tony here, I think. So we cut to Mario's. Tony is again sitting dejectedly at the bar when Bobby, we just talked about Bobby comes in. Tony says to Bobby, things aren't going great. Bobby asks, why aren't you drinking? Tony admits that he had to give all his money to Louis, but he refuses to tell Bobby the story. We know that Louis basically extorted him all of the money that he had on him so that he wouldn't divulge the secret. By the way, I have to mention this. This is a side note. We don't see Tommy, the bartender, which is a shame. But the bartender who serves up Tony his drink, did you notice him at all? Did you look at him?
He had like curly hair. He was weird.
Well, that's not what I picked out as the weird thing. He's got like a white button-down shirt, but he has a clip-on bow tie, Father Malone, but it's not clipped on. It's like halfway off of his. If you think of somebody who's been to a party, a wild party, and now the bow tie is kind of hanging off to the side, but that's not the case. This is a guy who's just bartending in Mario's. Why does he look like a slob?
Well, you got to figure that's the end of his shift, and maybe he worked too, because apparently Tommy's nowhere to be fucking seen. Where's Tommy?
I guess so, but Mario's has a rep to protect. You can't have some slob, even if it's the end of the night.
We've seen that breakfast buffet. Don't give me this rep bullshit.
That's right. Was that the Angela episode? Was that the breakfast? No, that wasn't. That was burgers that they had.
Yeah, they had
That's
burgers. Right. It all looks bad. Don't give me this.
It all looks bad.
There's no reputation to a quote. They're not in the Zagat's guide.
This is true. Tony is talking to Bobby. He lays out this hypothetical situation. He's trying to tell Bobby what's going on without naming names.
Which, by the way, this is a fucking great performance by Wheeler, because he's like, what is it? What do you call that when you're asking a question? It's like the hypothetical. Yeah. Like, what if, a guy, like he basically is asking him, how do you break it to somebody that their boyfriend or girlfriend is cheating on them? And Wheeler, when he goes like, why are you asking me that, is so great, because he's really fearful that his girlfriend is cheating on him. And he's probably thinking it anyway.
Yeah, I love this because we see so precious little of Bobby in the last few episodes. This is kind of a nice little vignette of having him, because it's very much in character for him. Bobby, as you said, he gets very suspicious. He thinks that it's about Tony making a pass at his girlfriend, who he implies like she's done this before. She's kind of gotten interested in guys. So what this does is basically Bobby storms out saying something to the effect of, I'm going to give her a piece of my mind. He's going to break up with her basically for this hypothetical that she has nothing to do with. It's really funny.
That's how you do a C plot. That's how you fucking bring a character in just for one bit and like get them out. Not fucking tired old sitcom jokes.
It's a little capsule moment. It's no more than about 2 or 3 minutes worth of screen time, but it's really funny. I love seeing Jeff Conaway doing something besides just being the straight man for some stupid vaudeville joke that is thrown out there. So it's really funny. There's again, we talked about this in the last episode. There's this weird ADR of Elaine asking if Tony is there, because Bobby is stormed out. The implication is that outside, Elaine is coming in.
Oh, right. Yeah, there is a terrible ADR. Yeah.
And talking to Bobby. So there's ADR of Elaine asking if Tony's in there. And Bobby says, yeah. So it's just weird. Like it's as if they didn't trust the audience enough to connect the dots to have this additional moment of like, I don't know, I didn't like it because it takes me out of the scene, really, this ADR.
It should, because it sets up what is a stupid scenario, and the stupid scenario just needed to be a stupid scenario. It didn't need any extra help in being stupid.
Pretty much. Elaine walks in and asks Tony if Kirk visited the garage. Tony panics at the mention of Kirk's name, but he refuses to talk about it with Elaine. She leaves to go home, where Latka comes out of nowhere to talk to Tony. I don't know, Latka again is just sort of hanging around Mario's. Since Tony won't talk to Latka, Latka carries on a conversation, a made-up conversation where he plays both Tony and Latka. And it is glorious, Father Malone, because it's not Latka doing a foreign man spin on Tony's voice. It's Andy Kaufman doing his impression of Tony Banta. Hey, how's it going? Hey, it's going pretty good, Latka. It's so funny. It means nothing to the episode, but I loved it. What did you think?
We never get to hear Latka doing this voice. We never get to hear Latka doing an American voice. Never mind him making fun of fucking Tony Banta. Yeah, I wrote spectacular. Where you said glorious. It's the best part of the entire fucking episode. It has no bearing on anything at all.
Nothing. He can't coax Tony to talk. Latka eventually just gently suggests, let's get some drinks and we'll talk about it. But again, Tony says, I have no money. And besides, Latka, you wouldn't understand. But Latka says, I would. This scene with Latka is going on longer than I even expected it would. Tony asks if he knows anything about bisexuals. And Latka says, sure, I think I know where this is going, but the punchline has enough of a twist. So he asks Latka about bisexuals, and Latka says, sure, they're very popular in my country. Tony's surprised by this, and Latka goes on to say that in his country, everyone owns one, and one of their favorite sports teams is racing them. And we all know, like,
ride them around and you lock them up, and it's bicycles. He's mistaking the words.
Right. And then Tony says, very vaudeville. He says, I'm not talking about bicycles. I'm talking about bisexuals. And I wrote here very ominously, Latka says, so am I.
And then he clearly walks away.
Right. That's it.
It's very disturbing.
That's what I mean. This is so disturbing because you think it's going to be just a joke about bisexual bicycle. Latka will throw out one of his, well, thank you very much, and leave. But no, when he tries to correct him that, no, you don't know what you're talking about, Latka says, yes, I know the word. I know what you're talking about. And then he leaves. So are we to believe that bisexuals hold a very strange place in Latka's culture, Father Malone?
The thing is, had it been a couple of references to bicycles, then it wouldn't be quite so freaky. But he's so specific about riding around on them and locking them up outside. And then, so now you have to conjure back up everything he has just said and imagine that someone doing this to another person. And it's a society where it's cool. It's a weird place to take the Taxi viewer. And I don't know if this was Kaufman or the writers, but whoever did it, God bless.
He comes in, he breezes into the scene, he leaves this bizarre weirdo bomb, and then he's gone. He's out. It's a delight. I mean, Andy Kaufman is so good. Latka leaves just as Alex now comes in and orders a beer. Tony goes over to talk to him and he admits defeat, basically. He says, I tried working out this problem, Alex, but I really need you to help me out. But Alex stops him. He says he refuses to answer sentences that begin with, I need your help. He doesn't want to hear it. He's through solving people's problems. And after he gets this rant out, Tony asks, you finished? To which Alex says, yeah. Now what's your problem? So I think we've seen Alex do this before where he protests, like, don't give me these problems. All right, what's your problem? So whatever. It's fine.
Vaudeville.
The
goth version. Da 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 da. Vaudeville.
Tony says that Kirk may not be right for Elaine, which kind of settles Alex. Alex says, well, that's your problem? He says, Tony, we picked a winner. Kirk is perfect for Elaine.
Kirk Bradshaw is a thoroughbred, Tony.
Tony says that Kirk wants to date him. And that's when Alex gets incredulous and says, you must have misunderstood. But then Tony says that Kirk's exact words were, his simplicity is engaging and they'd be wonderful together, which is not something that Tony would cook up on his own. So we know he's telling the truth. And
You
Alex
know
does
that guy
too.
said that and he meant it.
Exactly.
He said basically, you're a dummy, but I think it'd be fun. You'd be fun to be around.
Tony is concerned about the impact on Elaine, but Alex says rightfully that Kirk is the one that should be telling Elaine about all this business. Tony tries to convince Alex to tell her, but Alex insists Tony should be the one to do it. But then Tony begs Alex to at least come along as moral support. Here's where things get really interesting, Father Malone. We cut to Alex entering another bar. This isn't Mario's. This is someplace different. Another great job by set design, by the way. It's big. There's an actual bar. There's places to sit. There's a lobby. There's even a separate area with 2 pinball machines in the back. Did you see that?
I did. It's an amazing fucking set. All the ferns and accent lighting you could ever want. We must be in a gay bar. In fact, it is so well decorated that one can assume that maybe Bobby Wheeler himself is a homosexual, considering his fucking painting is hanging on the back wall.
I knew you were going to pick up on that. I wrote that down. In the area where they're playing pinball, where those pinball machines are, on the wall is the painting that Bobby picked out in the artwork episode. It's the photorealistic painting of the outlet, the electrical outlet that you and I were both delighted by in that episode. I still want that painting in my house. That thing is awesome. Maybe a little bit of a faux pas on the part of the set designers, because that episode it wasn't like that episode was like 5 years ago. That was a pretty recent episode. And that's a pretty iconic painting.
That was last season, though. This show hasn't hit reruns yet. This is 3rd season. They figured no one's watching these more than once. Go ahead and throw it in there.
And that's a great point, because we've watched these episodes over and over and over again. So we're just more likely to pick up on that. I was thrilled to see his painting back there, because clearly there's a prop warehouse somewhere and the set designers are like, yeah, it could be one of those pinball machines, one of those. Oh, that painting, that's perfect. There's Warhol prints on the wall. It's very well decorated. But the thing of it is, there's a preponderance of men with mustaches. There's not one woman in the whole bar, which
it's a gay bar. It's a gay bar on national television in 1981. So let's just appreciate that.
Sure.
But it is a gay bar featuring homosexuals from 1981. All of the style is terrible. Everyone looks awful. That transition from 70s to 80s is so fucking awkward. Like nobody knows what they're doing yet.
On the one hand, and that's kind of where I'm conflicted about this episode a little bit. On the one hand, it's actually really, really progressive and cool that this primetime sitcom in 1980 featured a gay bar. It's very straightforward. I mean, Alex walks in, there's a conversation, things get a little bit stereotypical shortly, but for the most part, it's treated very normally. There's people there playing pinball, having drinks, eating. It's just a bar that happens to feature gay men. I thought that was wonderful.
This episode is kind of genius because it's dealing with bisexuality and homosexuality really by just treating it as another variable to be plugged into the sitcom machine. It's just another humorous complication. There's no greater debate we have to have here. Fuck you, Angela Matusa.
I knew you were going to bring her up again. Alex walks in. He meets Kirk. Kirk's sitting at a table by the bar. He asks Kirk if Tony's there yet. Kirk says that Tony's been delayed. Alex is clearly a little bit uncomfortable, especially because Kirk confirms for him that yes, it is a gay bar, which makes Alex stammer and fumble a bit when Kirk asks him if he's ever been there before. I mean, it's just a bar. I mean, it's no big deal. This being 1980, obviously there's a little bit of apprehension on this straight guy, Alex. Alex tries to broach the subject of Elaine to Kirk, but Kirk informs him that he already talked to Elaine and told her that he's bisexual. And he goes on to say that he and Elaine are still friends and it's okay if Tony's not interested, which I got to say, the actor who played Kirk, he's not playing up any stereotypical aspects of who he is. He just seems like a really good guy. He understands that Tony's not interested and that Elaine maybe didn't bargain for somebody who's bisexual, but it's totally cool. He plays it really well.
Oh, no, he's great here. And I got to say that they wrap up all those plots with just a few words from this guy.
It's a snap of a finger and it's done.
Pretty fucking great. And you don't feel shortchanged at all. To what you're saying, it ties into what I said, which is that everything is just treated so fucking matter of factly here that it's kind of a marvel looking back on it.
Yeah. And all of this is a total relief to Alex because he figured that there'd be some difficulty navigating this complicated situation with Elaine. But what you just said, it's all resolved in 2 lines from Kirk. And he's like, oh, that's such a relief. Hey, you know what? Let's get a couple beers. You want a beer, Kirk? So he's loosened up. He's like, my job is over. Now I can relax.
And now let me say that in the spirit of everything that just came before, the matter of factness, that we're not being weird about homosexuality, we're not being weird about the plot contrivances so far, that I'm going to give a pass to the gay panic joke that they've chosen to end the episode on.
This is where I really got conflicted because what happens is this giant of a man walks over to the table and asks Alex if he wants to dance. Alex assumes that he's there for Kirk, but the guy insists that he wants to dance with Alex. Alex says, no, I don't really. But the guy basically manhandles Alex onto the dance floor, whisks him around the bar in this would-be dance. And the audience is going crazy with laughter. This is like the funniest thing they've ever seen because he's dipping Alex, he's twirling him around, he's picking him up, they're doing dance moves. The uproarious laughter at this tableau was a little disappointing.
Yeah, in that all the jokes are it's two guys, right? But I will counter that the guy who has chosen Alex to dance with is a giant of a man. And he is very, very graceful. So the joke, I thought it was funny seeing a man that enormous that you just think is just, you would think of him as the bouncer of the bar, if anything. And to see him move in such a lithe manner, I thought was very amusing. None of the, isn't it funny that Alex is being forced into this situation was very funny. But I guess, look, it's no worse. It's the same as fucking Animal House. Do you mind if we dance with your dates? It's kind of the same thing, but that's equally troubling. But they're just going for all out physical comedy here at the end. I think it's part of their plan to sidestep any of the religious groups that might have protested even mentioning homosexuality in the TV show.
Sure. And the actual choreography of this dance is really well done. Like you said, this gentleman who's dancing with Alex is super graceful and capable of doing all these lifts and things with Alex. And Alex ends up getting into it. I think he picks him up and puts him on the bar. And Alex does the sort of John Travolta pointing disco move, which is a little embarrassing.
Embarrassing for everyone.
Pretty much. But at least this guy who's dancing with Alex, there's never a moment where he's not deadly serious about the dance, which I guess is kind of admirable. He just wants to dance with this guy. The punchline is Tony walks in and he's stunned because I think the whole bar at that point is clapping and dancing and really into this whole scene. And I think Tony says something like, Elaine's heart is getting broken and you're here having a good time. That's the punchline. Hey,
Terrible punchline.
It's terrible.
He should have said nothing at all. He should have just turned and walked out.
Yeah, maybe he just shook his head and been like, Alex is at it again. To your original point, because there's so much about this episode that I would rate as fairly progressive in terms of how they treat bisexuality, I'm willing to overlook the cheap humor of let's watch these 2 guys dance. Isn't that funny? Ha ha. It's, it is what it is. It's the times. I'm willing to let it go. We fade back in to the garage. This is a little bit of a, bumper at the end of this episode. Tony is holding up a trophy at the poker table, which evidently Alex won for being the best dancer that night. Alex is sort of lost in thought. Tony makes a crack about Alex dancing with that guy, to which Alex grabs the trophy back. Hey, that's mine. Don't take that. Because Alex doesn't care. Whatever. He's happy he won this trophy. It's been a weird night for them both. That's it. Jim wanders in. We have one last joke about the trophy. I don't remember what it was. It's not that consequential, but that's effectively the end.
And there's some forced laughter, and everyone's in blue jeans once again.
Pretty much. Now we're going to talk about yellow lights.
What does a yellow light mean?
Reminder, we score the episodes on a scale from 1 to 5 yellow lights. 1 yellow light is the worst Taxi episode. 5 is the best. And as is our custom, Father Malone, I'm going to throw it to you. What do you give Elaine's Strange Triangle?
4 yellow lights, easily 4 yellow lights. I wish I could give it 5. There are too many problems with it. But of what we've gotten so far this season, this is fucking head and shoulders above everything, man. I just really enjoyed this episode a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm kind of shocked. I'm happy that you enjoyed the episode. I'm just surprised that you rated it so high.
For all the reasons previously stated, it's a hot button issue that they managed to do so delicately and in a very funny way, and to remind us of the comedy in every fucking situation, no matter where you're falling on a political or religious spectrum. They give every character their own beat. All the character beats are funny and in keeping with those characters. We got a return of Latka here, who fucking kills it with his Tony impression. Like, there's so much to recommend this episode.
I gave it 3 yellow lights, but now I'm second guessing my choice because I as I said before, I love that they kept the Kirk character fairly realistic and matter of fact. There's nothing outrageous about him in this. He's just the guy who happens to like men and women.
If you were going to have a gay character on your show, he was going to be a lisping sort of stereotype. You were going to get the same hello kind of character. The fact that it's just this dude who, for most of the episode, we assume is heterosexual in the way he approaches the romance with Elaine, and then he approaches Banta in the same exact way. It's fucking great.
I agree with you there. I didn't love the way that they used the dance in the gay bar as a cheap joke, but again, I have to just figure that's the time. That would play very differently now if it was on a television show in modern time. And Latka's Tony impression is at least worth a yellow light. At least, because it's so weird. The whole scene with him about the bicycle bisexuals is just so out of left field, and it doesn't really resolve itself in the way you'd expect. I guess I'm going to give this 4 yellow lights. You've convinced me, Father Malone. I'm going to give this 4 yellow lights for all of those reasons we've talked about. It's progressive without being heavy-handed. I liked it. 4 yellow lights.
You know what? I would give it 5 if Alex Rieger if it hadn't been a forced situation. If the guy had come up and said, "You want to dance?" and Rieger just been like, "Yeah, well, why the hell not?" And then just gone for it, instead of like him trying to get out and an aggressive conga line chasing him back in. If it had just been Alex fucking having the time of his life, and then Banta walks in, that would have been great. 5 yellow lights then.
But as it stands, I enjoyed this more than I remember enjoying it previously, because thinking it through, I think this is a pretty cool episode for a lot of reasons. So 4 from you, 4 from me. That's going to do it for this episode of Night, Mr. Walters. Father Malone, where can folks find you when you're not clocked into the garage?
Well, you can find me and HP over at Fusco Fest on my show Midnight Viewing. HP and I are working through the filmography of screenwriter John Fusco. So far, we've got Young Guns and Young Guns 2 and Crossroads in the can. We've got a lot of great episodes in the future, including The Babe, about the Babe Ruth, the biography of him. I don't think either of us have seen that, so that should be interesting.
No.
Thunderheart we're going to be doing. Oh, man, I love Thunderheart. Anyway, check us out over at Midnight Viewing. That's where I am when I'm not here.
There you go. Fusco Fest has been a true delight to do with you, Father Malone. I love everything, all of our podcasting that we do, but it's been so special for me because these are movies that are kind of in the fabric of when I was a kid, in high school and so forth. And being able to revisit them with you in this context has been really, really fun. So and hopefully that translates when you listen to it, folks out there. So give it a shot. As for myself, you can find me also in other areas of the Weirding Way Network. I host the Noise Junkies music podcast. I'm also an occasional guest on the Culture Cast with Chris Dashew. And I have a Bandcamp site, hpmusicplace.bandcamp.com. Please check that out if you want to check out some of my music. Again, that's going to do it for us here. Thank you again for listening. Please feel free to subscribe to this podcast, write a review, rate us. We'd love to hear from you in any manner you choose. For myself and for Father Malone, thank you again for listening, and we'll see you again next time.
Night, Mr. Walters.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, you know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week, and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.